Hello, and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Gina. Hello to everyone out there. Um, I was laughing a day or two after my last recording because I realized I unintentionally left a teaser at the end of my last episode, and I was laughing that was not intentional. I mentioned that there's something else unfolding in my life that's really magical, and that I would be talking about that soon. And so I did my first teaser, and I didn't even mean to, but I'm not going to be talking about that today because that is still unfolding. But what I did want to talk about is something it really is the magical aspect of being alive in this human suit in this realm, and the guidance that we receive, and we refer to this, and I do often or always, as serendipity. And, what is serendipity? Everybody has heard the term. And I, you know, I've always thought of it as just happenstance. You happen to meet the person that you're meant to meet, or you happen to, stumble upon a place that you didn't know you wanted to go when you're, on vacation or something, things like that. We think of them as happenstance, just like a happy accident. And I have to tell you, that it is not a happy accident. I mean, I can tell you definitively, without any doubt at all, that you are being guided when you experience serendipity. And I can tell you, and this is the reason why I'm talking to you today and not waiting down the road to maybe add this as a footnote into another episode, is because, something really crazy happened recently, last week, with me, that was absolutely serendipity, and it was absolutely guidance from my higher self or whomever is guiding me at that time. Which I mentioned before, that we are a channel. Basically, our body is a channel between the earth and the cosmos, and we absorb energy back and forth. We exchange energy. We um, are fully and wholly connected to the vibrational matrix of the universe and Earth and all planets. I mean, and we're basically stardust. We're made out of the same things that the Earth is, and all the stars and planets, and we're all part of the same system. And this takes a minute to really integrate, because we're so separate, and we're in this separate form, having this experience in a human form, and we're not meant to realize that, because if we do, then we're not living a human life. We're seeking outward or upward for the truth, which is part of it too, but we want to be able to engage in the human part. So, but it's so interesting for me to experience these things, and this is again why I consider myself a transducer at this point, why I really am here. And my purpose, which I discovered in the Gene Keys, is to share my story. My pain is my purpose. I think is the first time I realized it. I had an actual realization that my pain is my purpose, and that was back when I was still experiencing pain. But now I see my life is my purpose. What I've gone through, how I experienced it, and then the perspective now that I now have to discuss it within or from, because it makes all the difference how you see things. How you see things is really dictates the quality of your experience. So when I was in my lower vibration, I saw my life as painful and difficult, and I struggled, and I was a victim, and I was trapped in that mindset. And of course, when I was blessed with my energetic breakdown, which caused me to go to the hospital, which caused me to isolate for, which happened to be during COVID, which again is not an accident. Um, I believe my soul chose that time to make sure I was 100% isolated, and I was, because I was doing some heavy lifting during that time. Excuse me. But as I look back at everything that I'm doing as this transducer, this basically, I'm an entity who is, and I refer to myself with laughing with my daughter. I said I feel like I'm an alien in an alien world collecting data. and then sharing that data back home, which is wherever that home planet is. And so as I live my life now, I'm almost always at the ready. Oh, I am always at the ready. Just picture a reporter with a microphone ready for an interviewee to pop out of a building to ask some important questions about what's going on. I always feel at the ready, like I have a pad of paper and a pencil in my hand at all times, observing myself living this life and having the experiences that I'm having, and reporting them out. And I only report when I feel inspired. And this is another beautiful part of this arrival in this energy, or the emergence of this energy in my body, is that I no longer feel compelled by my brain to do anything. Um, I feel inspired when I want to do something, and I feel completely free to either do it or not do it. And this is the free will that's built into our existence, to follow our heart, or to continue to struggle and follow our brain, or the egoic patterns that we brought into this world with us in order to challenge us, in order for us to grow. So, knowing, kind of seeing all this on a grand scale, it makes it really interesting. I'm almost like, I would say, I say almost, but I'm actually an observer of my own life, and I get to really, from a objective perspective, which is really ridiculous to think about it, that the things that happen to me that cause emotionality in my body, I can be objective about as an uninvested observer, which sounds, again, completely ridiculous, but that's really where I've arrived. When something happens to me, and I'm going to leave another teaser, because when I do speak about this other thing that's happening in my life that I'm not ready, it's not done yet. Uh, it's an incredibly emotional thing, and I'm able to really look at it so objectively, almost. And I do speak to myself that way. I say, Gina, I'm here for you. We're going through something temporary. I got your back. Don't worry. We're in this together, as if we're a partnership or a couple, and we absolutely are. The duality of life here is the physical and the ethereal. I mean, we are basically an ethereal being occupying a physical body in a physical existence to have a physical sensory experience. So we basically put on a pair of VR glasses with this body, and we are having an experience that we designed as the programmer of our life. So we are the gamer who designed the game that we are experiencing in this human suit. So, but at this point in my life, in this lifetime, because of the evolution of my energy, of my body, of my heart, and my mind, eh, I can look at it with complete objectivity. I mean, when I'm in it, even I understand that I'm in something that's happening, because I'm going to be able to talk about it. And if I were doing it from a place of pain, or a place of confusion, or a place of not understanding, I wouldn't be of any use to anyone. I would be basically venting, which is what we primarily do throughout the lower vibrational periods of our lives, or our entire lives, if we're not meant to evolve in that lifetime to the point where we can see what's happening. And I mentioned this before, that we're here to have an experience. That's my whole podcast last was the process was about, an example of mine where I was brought through a process, and our souls are here to experience this life, to have these interactions with other humans who are in their shadow realm, the shadow selves of others too, where we're all in these kind of like virtual reality games that we each individually designed, and some of us together. Like, for example, I wrote an article on my website called Soulmate, because I've been made aware through my soul family of the members of my soul family who are here helping me now, either in a physical form, my daughter and my granddaughter, my dog Oreo, who passed away about, oh, I think 2000, a, a while ago. I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe longer. Who was a soulmate there, and he's made himself very clear to me that yes, I was the black dog. I told the story already. And my ex-husband, who was a karmic soulmate, we had a contract together to basically catalyze my awakening, which is what he did for me, which is why I cherish him and I speak of him that way. And there are others. There is another soulmate who is in the body of a dog who is with my daughter's family right now, who's I've been made aware of very clearly, that who he is, who he was before to us. And he was a very cherished person in our life who lived a life during this lifetime, passed away very young, and then is now with us again in the body of this little dog who watches over my daughter and her little family. And there are others. I talked about the Emperor, who is another soulmate, and then my future twin flame, who is another soulmate. And we all have a bevy, I refer to them as my tribe or my pack or my clan. But these are this is my soul family. And I have been made aware of them through the tarot and through being taught to be aware of my surroundings and how to pick up on messages and how to pick up on symbols, and I've become quite adept at it. So I'm able to, as something's happening, identify that yes, this thing is happening. And I'll give you an example of how clear this learning has allowed me to really become. I don't think I've talked about this one yet, and there are others that I'm sure I haven't, but I was told early on in the tarot, this was probably last summer, more than it's been, by the way, it's been more than a year now since I've viewed a tarot reading, since I've told my soul team, hey, I'm good. I don't need the extra assistance anymore. I feel confident that I know how to conduct myself, and I know how to care for myself. I know how to listen to you. I don't need the tarot, which is like a direct connection. So think of it as talking on the phone to your counselor. I no longer needed the phone calls. I now am more aware of all of the subtle undertone communication that I receive every single day through symbols, signs, synchronicities, and through numerology, numbers, which is another thing that's really important. But I was told this was a while. It's been a year since I've watched tarot, so probably within a year before that. This time is flying. I was told to look for a miracle or something beautiful, a symbol, but don't look for the meaning of it, because you're not gonna find it. Just enjoy it. And I remember thinking, "Oh, man, what is that gonna be?" And I don't know if I described this or not during one of my episodes. This is episode 32, I think, so I may not recall if I have, so forgive me, but I was sitting on the edge of the river, which is a place I spend a lot of my time near my home, and, I sit right on the edge of the river, and I watch the river go by, watch the water birds, and listen to the birds and look at the treetops in the sky. That's how I spend a lot of my time in the summer, well, before my grandbaby. And at this in this during this time, I was sitting there just daydreaming, and I remember noticing birds, like a bunch of birds around me. It was a little there was a bridge, an overpass to my right, not too far off. That's the road I travel to get to this park, and it's right there. And under the bridge, there that day, and I have not seen it since, maybe once or twice since. There were just a ton of birds under the bridge, like little swallows. They weren't big birds, and they were. I can hear their chattering really loud, and I try to tune into the bird chattering, because birds speak to us. All wildlife does. The earth speaks to us. That's a whole nother podcast, but so I'm listening, kind of like daydreaming and enjoying this setting. And the birds started to fly around, and I kind of half noticed that the birds were flying, and they came out in above the water. And I'm right on the river's edge. They came out above the water, and there had to be, I mean, I don't know, I'm not really good at guessing numbers, but I would say 30 to 50 swallows, and just little birds. And they started to fly in a circle. I would refer to it as a swarm. There were so many of them, and they were just flying in a circle. And I noticed that the circle was getting wider, And I looked up and I noticed that the birds were flying in a vortex pattern, that they were like an upside down tornado, that the above my head, not too far above, there was like a wider circle, and then as I looked up into the circle, I can see the birds were flying in a tighter and tighter circle, and the birds just kept coming, and I'm just kind of in awe looking at this, not really registering what was happening. And I'm just thinking to myself, does anyone else see this? And I was pretty much alone where I was. And these birds were just flying in this upside down vortex. And at the top of the vortex, I could see a brown eagle. And then there was another brown eagle, and then another one, and then another. And then there were five. I just remember being stunned. And this was still earlier on in my reading. So I wasn't quite where I am right now in my awareness. But I'm witnessing this upside down vortex of all these little birds, and then these five eagles flying at the very top of it around in a circle. And I just remember feeling in such awe of it, but I knew in a moment or two, I realized this is what the tarot was telling me, that you're going to see something beautiful and amazing, but don't look for the meaning of it. Just enjoy it. And these birds were so close that I got crapped on. I had crap on my shirt. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I kept it to myself for a really long time because I almost didn't believe it. I really was just in such, I was so awestruck by it. I just sat there with my mouth open. But I knew in my body that this is what I was told, to just enjoy it, and that this would just be something that we are doing for you as a gift to validate our existence in your world, even though we're not physically in your world, and to teach you and show you that we're always here and that all you have to do is talk to us. And of course, since then I do. And the reason I came to the microphone today was because of a very recent example of this. But this connection or this open channel has developed over time, and it is really what it has done. And one of the things that my soul, that I learned about myself through the tarot, is that my soul wants to learn faith, wants to learn to trust. And as coming into this world with a victim trauma past, and who knows from how many lifetimes, and carrying that karma with me, reaching that point where I can trust the universe was a quantum leap for me. And the reason why I was awakened the way that I was through this serendipity, which I'll talk about in a moment, I was meant to connect with my soul team through the tarot. I was meant to know of their existence so I can trust what's happening to me and I can awaken at the speed of light instead of being guided um, more symbolically. I was guided directly. I was awake, I was awoken, and I was told, yes, we are here. Yes, we are talking to you. Don't doubt what you're hearing. Because, of course, early on in the tarot, I would leave a reading and go, was that for me? It seemed really, it really resonated, but I don't know, that couldn't have been for me. And then I would go back to the tarot. In the beginning, it was once a month. And the message would be, yes, we are speaking to you. You can trust it. I mean, that's how clear the communication was. I remember asking out loud, if I'm so open to your guidance through the tarot, if I have this open channel, because I was told that my third eye was well developed, even though as a human, I had no idea what a third eye was. Of course, now I understand it. But I asked a question. I said, if I'm so open to this information and this connection to spirit, am I also open to danger? Am I in danger of negative entities because I'm so open? And I asked that question out loud the next day when I went to a tarot reading. At this point, it was probably daily. The very first message in the reading was, "You are protected." So this guidance was direct. It was phone call, pick up the phone call, and you get your answer right away. And this went on for about a year and a half before I said out loud, I'm good. I feel confident that I understand what's happening. I'm connected to my soul team. I understand what I'm doing here. I have all that I need to carry on my own. So it's like taking the training wheels off of my bike. I was ready to go on my own, knowing I'm always fully supported and surrounded by my soul team, that I don't need the phone call every day to say, are you there? So that part of my journey is important because it taught me what to look for, how to speak to the universe, and how to listen. And when I say universe, I'm speaking about my soul team. Although the universe, of course, is orchestrating everything. The energy. Oh my God, I could speak for hours about that. But I want to hone in on this because I know I can tend to go long on these. So I'm this open channel, and I was so unaware of this going in when my ex-husband finally left my home a full year after we broke up, a full 6 months after our divorce was final, and he wouldn't leave, and that whole trauma that I went through, what it did is it catalyzed my awakening. It was the catapult that caused the emotional um what's the right word, explosion or implosion, because I always imploded. I rarely exploded. The implosion that finally shut down my energy and 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 created the opportunity for my ex-husband to finally leave my home. And again, it wasn't me. I went in the hospital. He still wouldn't go. My sister called him on the phone and say, "Hey, why aren't you leaving? You don't live there. You're not married. It's not your house." He tried to argue with her because it was his job to break me. I mean, this is so cool how when you can see it so clearly. His job was to break me, and he did an excellent job. It took a long time because my tolerance was so high. It took 9 years for me to leave this man, and it took an act of the universe to finally get him away from me. So I just want to I want to paint that picture again to show how powerful this whole thing was. I mean, I was pulled out of that by my ear. So because of this incredible transmutation that really took place at the speed of light, I was kind of micro trained, in a very short period of time to trust the universe, to trust my higher self, and to trust the guidance that I received. So I developed an ear for for when I'm being guided. And it's so beautiful to look back and to see it when I was unaware. But serendipity is guidance. It is not happenstance. It is not something that happens by chance. It is part of a universal plan of your soul team to get you through the lifetime that you designed. You're the gamer, you designed the game. So so I am made aware of what my game is. I've been told during the tarot what basically the big things in my life are going to happen. That one is that I'm going to go through this energetic expansion and that I need to rest like all the time. And I remember, and I think I mentioned this in a recent episode, I would do my own oracle readings and the messages would always be the same. Wait was one of them. It was just a black card that said wait on it. The other one was the void, which I did a whole podcast about, how I'm in a time of dormancy where my body is being prepared for what's coming, that I'm being seeded, that everything that my soul wanted in this lifetime and has been planning for over and over these lifetimes for this particular lifetime is being embedded in my body energetically. Dormancies are being awakened. My DNA is being expanded. And this has been going on for 2 years, more than 2 years. And I can still feel the ascension symptoms. And this last week was an especially powerful one. We are in the first 3 months of 2024 is an ascension period. It's not just me, it's everyone going through an ascension. It's the whole planet, including the planet herself, is going through an expansion or an ascension. And I feel a low grade static in my body. I feel exhausted. I woke up yesterday after sleeping 7 hours and I made my breakfast. I took a few sips of my tea and I laid on the couch and slept for another hour and a half. And this is why I was told over and over, sleep when you're tired, eat when you're hungry, and work when you're inspired. And this has really set the template for me to live my life from my feeling center, from my gut. I don't have to worry about what time it is. I don't have to worry about where I'm supposed to be. I don't have to be anywhere. And this is all by design. The whole thing I went through that I discussed in the last 2 episodes of I thought I had to find a job and I went through all that stuff. And I finally had an energetic intervention where my body drained of energy when I was looking for a job that reminded me, oh, hey, oh, wait, hold on. What are you doing? Oh, I don't have to do this. And I had that whole incredible uh, experience with the guidance of my higher self, saying, "You don't have to find a job." Waking up the next morning and realizing, "Oh my God, my body's talking to me. That's Gina. That's me saying, no, 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 you don't need to do that at all or anymore. I'm not sure." So again, I talked about how it's not just our gut, it's our energy that can change, which is what happened when my ex-husband left. I After 6 months, I couldn't take it anymore. My body just collapsed. So, we're being spoken to in very clear ways, but the more subtle, the more and more serendipitous ways are through these happenstances. And that's what I really want to talk about today, because I had such an incredible experience. Another one. Oh, this is so much fun. And I wake up every day just so excited to be here. I mean, for no reason. It doesn't care. I don't care if it's cloudy or sunshiny or cold or warm, or it doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, if I'm alone or not. I'm just so happy to be here. And I don't know if this is what an ecstatic feels like, but I'm just so incredibly aware of why I'm here, and that I am to pay attention to the experiences that I have, the emotions that I have, the to what my heart feels. I mean, the messages "follow your heart" have been consistent through this whole thing. I never knew what that meant until I was drawn so powerfully to this new little baby in our lives. And then I'm like, that's where my heart wants to go. That must mean that I'm meant to be with these girls. And then I tried to find a job, and no, don't do that. Yes, follow your heart. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. And sometimes I need a knock in the head. That's for sure. But I get it. Overall, I get there. It may take me a minute, but I get there. And this guidance has been so clear. It's undeniable. And because I'm so uh, imbued with this knowing that I am supported, we are supported. And I'm meant to talk about this. This is my role now in this part of my life, is to speak about my experiences. This is why I was I designed such a deep empathy for this body in this lifetime, because as an empathetic person, I feel. I'm designed to feel. So because of that design, it's not a design flaw, which is what I looked at it as for most of my life, because I felt so deeply. It is a gift. It is a superpower, because I get to experience everything so much with so much more depth. And because of that, I'm able to speak on it with such power. And I cannot wait to experience true love for the first time. And no offense to anybody I've been with, but I was not capable of true love. So that's no one else's fault. But to be in a true loving relationship is going to be mind blowing. I mean, I can't even imagine it. And I do try to imagine it. But, the fact that I'm so empathetic is not a design flaw. The fact that I am designed the way I am, with the way I live my life, is all of it is part of the design of this lifetime, the equipment of this body. And I just want you to be more and more aware of this, because this is this is the miracle of living. It is, we are walking around in these crazy human suits. We are having these experiences, and I refer to it as the matrix, because it's absolutely what it is. We're in a virtual reality here. And the fact that I know that I can unplug from it and be my ethereal self in this body is the respite. It's the break from it. It's not alcohol. It's not overeating. It's not drugs. It's not bad behavior, bad relationships, or projecting my anger and issues onto everything and everyone else. It is clear living. Unplug, take a break, plug it back in, take some notes, have some more experiences, talk about it, unplug it again. It's miraculous where I have come. And I'm just having the time of my life. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, because it's not meant to be. I would just unzip the human suit, step out of it, and fly off into the universe if it were meant to be perfect. I'm meant to have experiences. So I mean, I God, this is so cool. The one that I'm going to talk about, maybe next one, it's still emerging, is a huge one. But for now, I want to talk about something that happened very recently and last week, and I want to highlight also some more of the serendipity in my life, and even before I was aware of it, that I can look back at and say, this was not guidance through my body or my intuition. This was not guidance through the tarot. This was the manipulation of my physical environment that we refer to as serendipity. This is a manipulation of where my body goes. If I take a left turn instead of a right, and I'm like, well, why did I turn left? Now I know to pay attention. What is on this road? What am I here to see? The serendipity, when you look back and you say, oh, I didn't, I took a wrong turn and I ended up at this place and I found these amazing things and I met this person. That is the universe or your soul team or your higher self manipulating your environment to get you where you're meant to go. Like, I remember hearing messages in the tarot and I didn't resonate with everything. And I became very keyed to what was mine and what wasn't. And it's so beautiful because when something happens now, that message will pop up into my mind, into my awareness as a resonation to remind me, yes, you got this guidance. Remember, this is what the message was. And one of them happened very recently. And I'm going to tell this story really quickly first. Is I was told back, and this was, I don't know when this was. And well, I'll mention a few examples. One of them was, you're going to be needed somewhere for a couple of years. I told the story how I thought that meant I was going to get a job. And that's what kind of got me thinking that, oh, I'm going to get a job, and took me down that whole road that ended up being stopped. And I got off that road and I went back to where I was back in my dormancy because Gina said that's what we're doing. And I explained all that. I don't want to do it again. It was in the last 2 episodes where I was guided so specifically through a message that I heard, I don't know, probably a year before. And of course, what ended up happening, because of the energy I was in when I heard the message, which was not the energy I'm in now, I assumed it was a job. And of course, that all got taken care of. And what I realized was that 2 years, or those couple of years, were meant to be spent with my baby and her baby. You're going to be needed somewhere for a couple of years, was the message. So here I am now. That time has now come, and I'm spending the next couple of years with my babies. And another message that came during that time period was, you're going to move your money. And I'm like, what? I didn't know what it meant at the time. And I won't go into this, but this is just another example, is in order for me to not work, I have to go into my savings and my retirement. And I'm too young to do that, but I don't worry about that because I know this is where I'm being guided, because I got to the point where, okay, now I'm ready to start looking into this. And in order for me to start to use my retirement savings, I have to move my savings into a different type of savings entity, which I didn't realize I would have to do. I thought I could just draw from my retirement, kind of use it as a bank account. I don't know. But that's not how it works. I found that out yesterday when I called a financial advisor, and I have to move the whole thing. And of course, what popped into my mind to give myself a validation for this time way in the future that's now happening is that you're going to move your money. So as soon as I heard that I had to move my money, that resonation came back into my awareness and I was completely at peace with it. Now imagine if I were back into my lower self and I had to do this. I would be freaking the flip out. What do you mean I have to go into my retirement? I'm too young. It's only going to last so long. What do you mean I got to move it out of there? I'm not going to earn any. What do you mean? I would go insane. I wouldn't do it. Just like I would have gotten a job because I thought that's what I needed to do. But because of that, all this guidance I received over that time period, it comes back into my mind, reminding me that, yes, you were told this. You're good. Go ahead. And I can do it with confidence, with faith, which is what my soul wants. So, God, this is just so amazing to talk about it. I mean, I didn't talk about this for so long because I thought people would think I'm insane. And you very well may, and that's up to you. It's not up to me to convince you of anything. I feel like the Long Island medium, which I love her. You don't have to believe me or what I do. Just listen to the message and hopefully you'll feel better. I mean, that's really what it's all about. But so this guidance has been so clear, and I've received additional messages of different things, like I will receive an opportunity to do something and to be in a group of people, and in this group of people are more soulmates that are in my future, and they're going to help facilitate my movement to where I'm meant to go and eventually to meet my twin flame. I'm also told that I'm going to have a lot of money and that I'm going to move across the world. So these things are in my body, they're in my knowing. They were told to me in messages so I could be aware of them. So when the time came, we didn't waste any time. That I would be going and moving at a frequency that was necessary for the rest of this lifetime. So I'm not waiting for the planets to align, where I may very well be going when the planets are out of alignment. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a planetary thing. This is a mission that my soul is on, that my soul designed for this lifetime. And my soul gathered all of this help with these soulmates to make sure that I did it. I mean, I think I told the story before I met my ex-husband. There was a young lady who I befriended through some other friends. I really didn't know her very well, who facilitated me meeting my ex-husband. She was another soulmate. She was just described as somebody who comes in and agrees to facilitate a meeting or a coming together of two people so they don't miss each other. I mean, there's magic going on around us all the time. It is just our awareness of it that really dictates the quality of our experience. Are we trudging through our life? And I don't mean to, and I'm not, I don't mean to talk as if you're not. I mean, I'm just saying, for me, if I just trudge through my life with my head down, expecting the worst, I mean, that's what I always got. Now my head is up and I'm expecting miracles, and that's what I'm getting. I'm connected to this guidance and I'm experiencing magic because I'm so acutely aware of it. So the serendipity, the happenstance that got me to where I am, I was working in my business with my ex-husband. I was divorced. It was during the 6-month period where um actually it was the last year. So it was 6 months before my divorce, and then 6 months before he left my home. So that year, we had broken up in July of this year. In July of that year, I needed help in my business, and I'd never hired anybody full time before, and I'm like, "Okay, I gotta hire someone." We had started an auction hall. My job got a lot busier because I handled all the inventory that we brought in. We had an estate liquidation company, so we would get tons of inventory through that. We also bought from auctions and from private sellers and things like that. And it was my job to sell everything. It was my job to advertise, do all the advertising for both businesses, the auction business and the estate liquidation. I designed all the logos, I designed all the advertising, I did the website, I did everything. I did all the bookkeeping. I was a jack of all trades, and I needed help because now I had an auction to conduct once a month, which is a lot of physical work. And I also was doing online auctions, which was a lot of listing, which is a lot of physical work. You have to research an item, you have to get a price ratio for it, you had to describe it accurately, photograph it, post it online. So I needed help. So I asked my daughter, I said, "Do you know any of your friends who would like a job? I need somebody to work full time. Here's what I can pay. Here's what they're going to be doing, blah, blah, blah." And she instantaneously said, "I have someone who would love this, who would, I think, do really well there." And she sent me this young lady who's a friend of hers, who I ended up hiring, who worked with me for from July of that year through the next year, and then November, almost 2 years, I think it was. Yeah, almost 2 years she worked for. Is that right? Yes. So she was with me during that last year, during the right after the breakup. I mean, literally, we broke up and I hired her. COVID had just started. So I never saw this young lady's face. She came with a mask on. It wasn't until after, almost till she left us, that I saw her whole face. Or if I saw her outside briefly. But she always had a mask on. We always wore masks inside the building. And she came to work for me. She was lovely. She was smart. She caught on really quickly. I was able to give her a workload, and I was able to do my thing. And we ran this incredible auction hall together, basically. She was brilliant. She was beautiful. I was so grateful that she was there. But during her stay there, and of course the timing was also not an accident. She walked up into my office one day and she said, "Hey, have you ever heard of human design?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Human design, here, this is really cool. Look it up. And she texted me the link, and that was the Jovian archives, which is the website I used for a free human design chart, which I posted many times. I will again. And I did my human design chart, and it's the first time I found out the energy type that I was, which is a projector energy. And I've talked about that before too. And then I don't know, several weeks later, she walked in and said, "Have you ever heard of the gene keys?" Or she was talking about it. And I said, "What's that?" And she started to tell me about it. And I'm like, "Oh, well, send me the link. Let me see. Let me look at that." And she sent me the link to that. And that started my whole experience with the gene keys, which turned out to be the roadmap for my awakening. I mean, no shit. I'm not jiving you even a little bit. It was a physical manual to get me through step by step my spiritual awakening. I've talked about this many times. So that she started me on that road. And then a few months later, she says to me in the summer the next year, she says, "Hey, there's this really cool tarot reader. I don't know if you're into tarot, but she's really cool." And I'm like, not really. I go, "But send me the link." And it took me a couple of months to look at it because I'd never looked at a tarot reading before. I never had any experience at all with tarot. I had with mediums, but not with tarot. And I really didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever." So it wasn't until I was home that first week or two after the hospital stay, when my ex-husband was finally gone, when I was still breathless and exhausted, that I opened the first reading. And I remember very clearly, you open the reading, there's 5 or 4 to choose from. You go to the one you're drawn to. I was drawn to this one pile, and basically the entire reading was about rest, that you need to rest. Rest the whole reading. Don't make any decisions. You just need to rest. It's time for you to rest. And I'm like, "Okay." Okay. And then it was another month or 2 or even longer before I did it again, because it wasn't immediately that I was drawn to do it. I was resting, I was healing. And then I think I told the story before, so I won't go on and on, but so from there I started to listen a little more frequently. It was once a month, and then it was once every couple of weeks, and then once a week, and then it was daily, because these messages were telling me what to expect in my life, telling me how to heal, telling me how to conduct myself, what to expect. And this is why this healing was so fast for me, because my soul team was basically pulling me through it. And I thank them still every single day for everything that they do for me on a daily basis, because it's so beautiful what I've gone through. It's such a beautiful thing what I went through. I'm not just a human having a random experience. I am an ethereal being in a virtual reality matrix. And I was pulled out of it and told, "Hey, by the way, you're in a matrix. Don't take anything too seriously. You're here just to kind of report on it. So just get yourself rested and get ready for that," is basically how it worked for me. I was led serendipitously to this microphone by my daughter, who said, "Mom, I see you doing a podcast." I had no clue how to do a podcast. I had no idea really what I was doing. And I think I made that clear in the first episode. You know what I mean? It's like, she's the one who told me to write about my experience with my ex because it was so incredible. She said, "Mom, you need to write about it. Tell your truth." That's what started my website. And my soulmate, my daughter, who's actually a sister energy from my soul team, is the one who guided me there serendipitously through a suggestion. So serendipity is pervasive. First of all, it is everywhere. We just don't see it. We're always being guided, nudged, even manipulated. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I was just recently manipulated, and I'll tell you about it. It's so cool. It's just so cool. I'm just having the time of my life. And the thing I'm going to speak to you about, that's a teaser again, and I'm sorry, I don't mean for it to be, was not a pleasant experience. So just so you know, it's not all meant to be pleasant. It's just I'm meant to be able to have the perspective to see it and to rise above it and not be negatively impacted by it. So I'll talk about that when the situation is not over yet. So I don't want to talk about it. I want to see it all the way through, like a good little experiential physicist. I want to do my due diligence and take all the notes and wait till the end of this event before I report on it. And yes, that's how I feel about everything now. It is the coolest thing. And of course, I'm teaching my daughter to look at life this way. So that's not an accident. My daughter and I are in this period, this couple of years where I'm needed someplace for a very important reason, not just for me, but for her too. I'm igniting her in ways that I'm meant to ignite her, just like she guides and ignites me. And of course, this little grandbaby who is a golden child is also a part of this energetic mix. We are here, the three of us, this little triad, to help guide and ignite each other. Although I've been more aware of the guidance that I'm receiving from my daughter than that she is probably aware that she receives from me because I'm her mom. Guidance is part of my job. But this is a part of our time together, our mission on earth to energetically ignite each other and expand each other. My life inspires her, her life inspires me. The baby will be inspired by both of us, not just inspired in the classic sense, but our energy is being ignited. Our dormancies are being awakened in the ways that we're meant to help love and guide each other. Again, this is not just me, this is all of us, but this is just my experience that I am reporting out to you. So I get to know about these 2 years, and then I get to know about this. Yeah, you're going to move your money. Okay, so I don't have to freak out. And this is just so beautiful. And has allowed me to truly sit back, put my feet up, put my hands behind my head, and just relax and enjoy the ride. Because I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to concern myself with anything. And this was told over and over. Divine timing is at work. All I have to do is wait and relax. And one more very important thing, two more important things. Follow my heart, which your heart has to be open. I talked about that many times. And do what I'm inspired to do. So I was told that in order to get where I'm going on during this mission to meet my twin flame and to be in this environment with these new soulmates who are going to help me get to where I'm going, which will be through an opportunity that I'm offered, all I have to do is follow my heart. So I was told specifically what you need to do, you will do naturally. And another really validating thing here for all of us to take in is that all of this is already done. My higher self has lived this life already. My past is not necessarily my past and my future is not necessarily my future. This has already all been played out. So I literally can say it's really all done. All I have to do is relax and do what comes natural. My higher self already knows what I'm going to do. She's already in the future. She's already with my twin flame. This is already done. I'm just the physical person, the physical entity that is doing the physical thing. And it's like a remote control. Like she's remote controlling me. And then now I'm no longer running into walls because because I don't understand the instruction. Now she has clear access to my hands, my eyes, my speech, my movement, even. So yeah, I'm having the time of my life. I can't wait to see what's next, but I'm also so contented in the incredible luxury of solitude and abundance and familial love that I'm experiencing right now. I don't need anything. Although I was encouraged recently, actually just yesterday, to ask for what you want, even if it's daily stuff about your schedule. We're here to give you whatever you want. There's no limit to what's possible. It's only what we limit ourselves to by our insecurities or our doubt. I can be a zillionaire, and I plan on having a lot of money. I just recently asked the universe for my first million. Whenever you're ready, I want to have some fun. This is so cool. So that was a recent message. So that was my higher self and my soul team saying, "Gee, go ahead and ask for what you want. You don't have to be shy. You're not taking away from anyone else because you get more." And that's, of course, as an empathetic, that's how I feel. If I ask for something and the person next to me doesn't have anything and I already have so much, I mean, what business do I have asking for that? It does not work that way. When that person who doesn't have as much has his or her realizations and gets into the energy or the frequency that they need to be in to call to them what they want, that's their journey. That's their matrix. That's their game. As an empathetic, I want to help whenever I can, but I don't have to have less in order for others to have more. It doesn't work that way. And I thought it did too. I can have everything. And it doesn't take away from anyone else. I'm not using an infinite or a finite resource. The resource is infinite. It just all that matters is that we are in the energy to receive it. That's the only requirement is we have to be open and then able to receive it. So yeah, I'm asking for stuff now. I don't know. It's just I'm having fun with it. But okay. So back to my recent example of the serendipity that was so powerful and so clear. And of course, there's been so many, but most of those I was not aware of as they were happening. This one was, you have my attention. So here's what happened. It's going to sound really dumb after all the buildup, but it's so fun. It was last week. I was not with my babies because they're out of town, and I was at home. So I was trying to get some stuff done. And I think I mentioned a while back that I don't really go to the dentist, and I had a bad experience at my last dentist where I loved my old dentist who was an older gentleman. His son came into the practice new and ready to go, ready to prove himself. And I understand the energy. I could feel it on him. He diagnosed me with an issue that I knew I didn't have. He told me to go make an appointment as I exited, and he would take care of it on the next, when I came back, cavity. And I said, I don't have a cavity. I knew I didn't. I went and I checked out. I did not make another appointment. I went back 6 months later for my regular cleaning. This was right before COVID. And I was actually worked with the older gentleman, which is his father, who was my regular dentist. And he did the exam and found no issue at all. And I didn't say anything because I knew there wasn't an issue, but I knew that the young man was trying to prove himself or whatever he was trying to do. And I wasn't having any more unnecessary dental work. I've already had that. And I decided I wasn't going back there. And then COVID came and intervened, and I didn't go back. And I really hadn't planned on going back to the dentist. My teeth are healthy. But what had happened over the last several months is I started to have a little issue with one tooth. It was a little sharp point or something on a tooth. I don't know how it happened. But I left it for a long time because I'm like, I don't want to go to the dentist. I just didn't want to go. And anyway, I finally got to the point where I said out loud, I need to take care of this tooth. I can't do this anymore. It's just a minor annoyance, like a dripping water faucet. I just had to take care of it. It was scratching the edge of my tongue. And over time, I just was so aware of it. I'm like, I need to get rid of this. I don't want anything limiting my freedom. Time to go to the dentist. So I said out loud, I said, okay, Gina, help me find a dentist because I'm not going back to the old one. I went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, and had it on my mind. I said, okay, I'm going to go. I opened my phone and I Googled dentist in the city that I live in. And I had an idea I was going to go to one that my ex husband had gone to because he really liked him. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll just go to him. So I opened up, I Googled it, and two of them came up in my phone, which is a smaller screen. Two of them came up. One was the one that I knew of and I was going to probably go to. And the one next to it was a different one. But the Google reviews were 5-star. And I'm like, okay, let me check this person out. So I opened that link, and I'm in on the website of this dentist in my home city. She's literally an exit away, a female, which I like the idea of a female, a young woman. And I liked her website. It was very clean, and it wasn't overpowering. It was very unassuming. And I read the reviews on Google, and I thought they were really good. And I said, well, let me look at her contact information. And I opened that part of the website, and her phone number had 4 fours in it. So it was something something 4 4 4 4 something something. And I knew immediately that this was my soul team saying, this is the dentist you want to go to. This is the connection, how strong it is. When I see repeating numbers, it makes me think of my soul team. They know that. So the numbers don't have to mean anything in particular, because I really honestly don't know what a lot of them mean. It means whatever it means to me, just so you know. That you can look at a universal meaning of a number, but it really means what it means to you. And your soul team or your higher self knows that it means that to you, and that's what they use to communicate. So I saw these 4 fours in a row in the phone number, and I just knew, I said out loud, I go, this is my girl. So I called No, let me back up just a little bit. The day before, that same day, I had made an appointment for an oil change on my truck. I looked at the weather. This was on Sunday. I called to make the oil change appointment on Monday. I looked at the weather on Sunday, just so back up a little bit, so forgive me. I looked at the weather on Sunday and I saw that Tuesday was going to snow. And I said, well, I'm not going to drive to get my oil changed. I had to go a few cities away on Tuesday. So any day but Tuesday. So I called my guy to change my oil on Monday. This was the same day I did the dental search. The next day, I called my first thing I did was I called and set up the appointment for my oil change. And I said, any day but Tuesday, any day after 11 o'clock. But Tuesday was supposed to snow. I'm like, so I didn't. So I set the appointment for Wednesday. Okay, so now I'm Googling the dentist. I find this dentist. I see the fours. I call the number and I'm like, well, I'll get an appointment in a month or two. I mean, it takes a while to be a new patient into a dental office. So I called and I said, first of all, do you take self pay? Because I canceled all my insurance. And she said, sure, no problem. I said, okay, great. I said, well, I have a little issue with my tooth. So I wonder, if you could, let me know when I can come in. And she said, well, let me look. And she's like, I can tell she was looking at her scheduling and whatever. And she goes, actually, can you come tomorrow at noon? And tomorrow was Tuesday, the snowy day. And I like panicked. I got this like panic in my body because I'm not ready to go to the dentist, but I'm like, oh shit. I go, yeah, sure. Not, like not even thinking, yeah, sure. So I made the appointment, and then later that day, I looked at the weather again. I was worried about the snow, and the snow was completely gone in the forecast. It was completely gone. And I said out loud, I go, I see what you did. Thank you. It's just the coolest thing. And you may not even see what happened there because it's so subtle, but I'm so aware of it. I knew that when I looked at the weather on Sunday, that snow was in the forecast on Tuesday, which is the day that the dentist had opened for me. If that snow would not have been there on Tuesday, I would have made my oil change appointment on Tuesday, and I would not have been available to go to the dentist. And I probably wouldn't have changed it because of the fear that hit my body. I would have said, "No, I have an appointment, and can you do it in the future?" And it may have been months away. I don't know. But she had just had a cancellation, so I was able to go in the next day. And another important part of this is I'm going through an ascension period. Again, this low grade static in my body behaves like anxiety. So going into the dentist office, especially a new one, to have my tooth looked at and possibly worked on was not something I wanted to do. I said this before, I'm very aware of myself and my environment, and going into an enclosed office where somebody's in my mouth was not what I wanted to do at all. But I knew that I had to get this done. And I knew when I looked at that weather that my soul was saying, Gina, let's just do this. Let's get it done. And she did. I went there the next morning. I felt this anxiety, which I will call it that, although I know that's not what it is. It's like a lightning storm going on in your energy. This is the transmutation or the expansion of my energetic body. And we're in an expansion period the first 3 months of the year. It's a very powerful time of gamma rays and sun rays sending in this energy, which is clearing out old energy and replacing it with new, powerful, expanded alien energy. So I'm aware that I feel this kind of like anxiety and I don't want to go to the dentist, but my soul's like, gee, just let's go get it over with. I went the next morning. I felt a little bit of, not, I wouldn't call it anxiety, a little bit of anticipation, but also excited about getting it done. And this young woman was amazing. First of all, the office, tell me my higher self can't pick it for me. It was one exit away from my house. And if you live in my area, which I'm not going to say on the mic, if you need a dentist, let me know because she's now my forever dentist. Beautiful young woman, but her office is this beach themed thing because she's from California. So her office is got seashells and beach colors, and it's just beautiful. This open office. They take me back into the exam room, and there's no wall. It's like part of the wall is gone, so it's open air office. And I sit down in the exam chair, and I'm facing a huge window, and I'm looking outside. I mean, I don't know where you live, but the dental offices where I live are in buildings, and if there's a window, you're looking at the side of another building, and it's generally not in the exam room, and it's just this beautiful window, and outside she thought to put a basket of flowers and a bird feeder. It's like I'm sitting there thinking, I this is where I'm meant to be. This is a wide open place where I feel comfortable. And I still had this low grade static, which was not going away because it had nothing to do with where I was or what I was doing. It has to do with this ascension, which is why I need to rest and why I don't go to parties or concerts, or I go to dinner once in a while. I don't do much because I understand and I'm aware that I'm going through this expansion that requires a lot of rest. So here I am in this dental office and I'm like, holy shit, I hit the jackpot here. And I'm having the discussion with the young lady who's onboarding me and double checking all the information and all these things. And I'm telling her about the ascension and how it affects me, and to be aware that, I'm not afraid. I'm just going through this thing. And she has a lot of interest. And the dentist comes in, and it's this lovely young woman who talks through everything with me. She's so compassionate. And I just had the most beautiful experience. And after all was said and done, basically she was telling me I probably should not file the tooth, that it's probably better to do more of an comprehensive treatment to it. And I just told her, you know what? I'm going into my retirement to be with my girls. I'm not doing that right now. Can you help me with this or not? Basically, is what I told her. And she said, let me do a little bit of polishing, is how she put it. And she, in within 40 seconds, polished my tooth and took care of the problem. And I was ecstatic. And I walked out of there, and plus the way she charged me because I'm self-pay was not what I would have had to pay otherwise. I was planning on paying a lot more. I was just I walked out of there going, "Holy shnikes. Look at that." And I knew as I'm driving home, I was just thanking I go, "Gina, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Because I knew how serendipitous this whole thing was. My higher self knew I didn't want to go to the dentist. Not in this energy especially, but she also knew that I couldn't handle this tooth anymore because I kept saying, I can't, this is inhibiting my freedom. I feel controlled by this little tiny whatever it was on my tooth that was sharp that was catching my tongue. Oh my God, it's just so beautiful. So the serendipity, of course, was that the weather looked crappy on the Tuesday. I made my oil change for Monday. When I panicked and took the appointment on Tuesday and looked back at the weather was clear. And of course, that was my soul making sure I didn't make an appointment on that day because I was going to the dentist. That is what serendipity is. And serendipity is happenstance, is what we call it, but it is guidance. It is your soul manipulating your physical environment to get you where you're meant to go. That was my soul saying, Gina, I hear you. Let's get this tooth fixed. I'm not making you wait 3 months and go through that. I'll call it anxiety, but it's not. Now I have to anticipate something in the future that I don't want to do. Let's just take care of it right now. And of course, now that I've done this, I'm very comfortable with this young woman who I got to know pretty well in the hour and a half I was there, who took her time with me, who wasn't interested in selling me anything. She wanted to truly see what I needed, and she ended up doing something in the gray area that she, maybe wouldn't have recommended as a long-term solution, but I told her I'm not interested in it right now. And honestly, I mean, not to be mean, but dentistry and the medical system in the United States is not really what I'm interested in engaging too much with because of the cost. It's outrageous. And when I move to wherever I'm going, that's what in my mind, in my heart, I feel like if I need anything major, I'll get it done then. I don't need it done now. It's like to have. So I'm like, I'm good. She took care of the problem. She was lovely. She was so kind. I left her an incredible review. I want her to succeed, and I will be going back to her. So now I have a forever dentist. So I'll start doing my cleanings again, which I didn't know I would ever do. So that was a serendipity that I was thinking about this morning. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do a serendipity episode because people need to understand that guidance is not just what we see in our conditioning as possibly maybe help from the universe. It is always happening. And you can ask for what you need. And I don't know that if the energy you're in, you'll receive it. Because trust me, I asked and asked and asked when I was in my shadow energy, and I didn't get anything because I wasn't in the frequency to receive it. And that's the part that we don't know. We don't know we're not in the frequency to receive guidance because we don't know how to hear it. We don't understand the language. We are shut off from it. And I was talking to somebody recently about this and it just kind of popped out of my mouth. And I thought about it afterwards. I said, "No, that's accurate. When your heart is closed, you don't get okay, let me put it this way. The heart is the portal to for resonation. Without the heart being open, the energy cannot get in and through into and go to the part of the body it needs to go to. Energy enters our body all the time, but for frequency or for resonation to occur, and this is something I've become so acutely aware of is the resonation. Resonation occurs through an open heart. It cannot come in otherwise. And what I mean is maybe it comes in but it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't register because without the heart being open, the clarity or the I don't know what the right word. I don't want to use clairvoyance or clairaudience. All of those are all that's what this is. It is an extra sensory for you to take in an energetic message. But I'm not even talking about being gifted with those things. I've been told I am clairaudient and clairsentient, and there's two or three others. I really don't know what that means, except for I have this incredible connection to energetic messaging in my body. That I have this incredible third eye, which maybe is why I have the perspective that I have, because the third eye is witnessing our lives as a third party, as the ethereal energy. So yeah, maybe that's what that means. I guess my point is I wasn't trained as a monk or did yoga. I didn't know any of those things. This was just something that came to me in messages. And now that I'm in this energetic atmosphere, and I describe myself as living within the love frequency because that's what I believe. That's what I feel. And I can feel this vibration as I'm speaking through my whole body resonating like humming. And these are the chakras aligned and spinning because the energy that is running through them is coherent. It is clear. The energy from the cosmos into my body and then into the earth and then around my body in a torus and back again. This is the open channel that needs an open heart to facilitate it. Maybe that's the best way to put it. The heart has to be open. And if the heart is closed down, and like I said before, I didn't know my heart was closed. I didn't know that I didn't love myself. I had no idea because we're not equipped to know. We don't have the perspective to know. And when you ascend out of your lower vibrancies, you start to see. And this is where I believe the third eye really gets activated because now I can see my life as an observer of it. And I'm not too deeply impacted by anything. All I have to say to myself is, gee, you're an alien in an alien world gathering data, and this will pass. And I'm done. It doesn't stick. It doesn't. I mean, do you think for a minute, and I'm going to say this again because it's such a miracle for me. A year ago, if you would have told me you're going into your savings and in your retirement and you have no idea what's going to happen in 10 years, I would have never even considered it. I was a worker bee. I was the do it now, get it done, and don't worry about it later girl. So I was ready to get a job, work for the next 5 years, reinforce my Social Security, reinforce my 401k, and then maybe I can retire then. Probably not. I probably would have gone till I was 67 or 70 even if I was physically able, just to make sure, double, triple, quadruple sure I had enough. I am not the same person. I have no concern, zero qualms, no doubt that what I'm doing, which is completely out of character with the Gina of my past, I have no doubt that what I'm doing is meant to carry me through. The money that I have right now is meant to get me to where I'm going. It's not meant to get me through the rest of my life. How do I know that? I just know it. And god dang, I don't need to question it. This is how powerful this resonation is. This trust in my body has become a stillness. It has become a rock of Gibraltar. It's not disturbed by anything. And all the superficial stuff that goes on, and I saw this described once as the depths of the ocean, that the surface of the ocean is open to the elements and the storms, and the waves crash and they roll, and all the chaos is on the surface. But when you go down to a certain depth, it's just stillness. That's where I'm at. I'm living in this blissful stillness, and I don't have to disturb it unless I want to. Or, and I'm not going to lie, this energetic ascension can be very disruptive, but I know to lay down. I don't have to fight through it or with it. I just lay down and say, take your time. I don't have to be anywhere. Oh my God. If I want to sleep till 10 and get up and go back to sleep, that's what I do, because my body says, gee, we need to rest more today than yesterday. And I do it. I'm totally tuned into her. And I tell her all the time, you get whatever you want. Just tell me what it is. Do you need more food today? Do I need to eat more than I normally do? Then I'm hungry and I eat more. Do I need to rest more? I rest more. It's so easy now. I don't have to think about it. I'm just in this incredible peace. And it's 111. I don't mean to end at 111. I swear to goodness. But I just want to, and I start thinking, and then we're done. Okay. Oh my God. Thank you so much for being here with me. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you. And I want you to, eat the chicken and leave the bones. That means take what means something to you and leave everything else. And just know that I'm honored to be here on the other end of this mic, to speak to you, to have your ear even for a moment. And I'm so grateful for this incredible journey and this incredible purpose and this incredible life that I get to live on this gorgeous earth with this beautiful mother and all my beautiful luminaries that watch over me in the cosmos, and my beautiful mother, Sophia, my first mother who gave me this gorgeous life. Thank you so much to all of you. And I hope you have an amazing day. And please look for the miracles, because they are everywhere. Until we meet again. Thanks.